Hey everybody. Are you cool? Would you like to be cool? Am I cool? Do you think I'm cool? Oh man, I hope you think I'm cool. Because then I can think that I'm cool. Because it's dependent on what you think, right? Wait a minute. You wanna be cool. You wanna be the one to rule your own scene. You wanna feel good, you wanna see good. You don't need to be looking on a screen for your likes or your posting. Everyone's got their own dream. You don't need to worry, you don't need to be some kind of star in someone else's galaxy. Just be cool by your own rules, cool in your own dictionary. Be you and I'll be me, and I'll wear a yellow scarf around me if I want, and so what? May your own figurative yellow scarf be your thing. So that's a little song about being cool. Let's put this guitar in its rightful place. So, being cool. I think we go on a journey with the concept of cool. So let's go on again. Here's a summary. No, these are my thoughts on it, at least. Because I think there's healthy ways to approach the idea of being cool, and there's unhealthy ways. And I think you don't need to think about being cool at all if you don't want. But I think I have found benefit in returning to the idea of being cool in some sense. Like, it's a kind of powerful idea because it's tied into like acceptance and social approval, but also like feedback, and like when are you on the right track and when you're going off, off the rails a bit. So I think it's useful. But yeah, like, so when we're younger, cool is like, oh, that Batman's cool. So it's a kind of admiration, like hero, archetype stuff, like, or maybe the girls were like, oh, that person's cool, like that princess is cool or whatever. There's something about the archetype that they liked. Obviously there's tomboys and whatever, leave me alone. um, Hypothetical questioner of my stereotypes. But yeah, so I think when you're young, that's kind of, what's cool, or the cool kid, I guess when it's just someone who's kind of admirable, or you're like, oh, that guy, he's really, oh, yeah, like cool kids. I guess it would reflect what you like. So, and I think in high school and primary school, is there any difference? I guess it probably just gets ramped up more. Like when you're a little kid, your parents are more important. And then when you're a teenager, you're individuating. You're trying to, you're, as an adolescent, you're becoming part of the tribe, so to speak. And so you're trying to find your tribe, but also like even in like, more traditional societies, they would be moving away from the parents more, and they would be more kind of like paying attention to other people in the tribe. They would go through a rite of passage and they would become a member of the tribe. And so you're kind of being part of society. You need to individuate. Well, even before individuating, you're kind of becoming not just a member of the family, but a member of the community. So I think you start paying attention to your peers, like when you're a teenager, cross-culturally. That seems to be the thing that happens. So, but I think for both of them anyway, like cool seems to be, it's the people you want to copy, right? But what is it exactly? The cool kids? I think often it's social skills, basically high levels of social fluency, or, emotional intelligence, confidence, verbal fluency, like the ability to kind of engage with people well and kind of, play the game, dance the dance of like, oh, that person made a joke. Okay, laugh. Or but they're kind of making fun of me a bit. Okay, what do I do? You know, and okay, maybe I go with it. Oh, and they made fun of me again. Okay, let's push back a bit. Let's make fun of them. Aha. And then they laughed. They like it. Oh, cool. Now we're closer. Or they didn't like it and they're being weird. But other people in the group are looking at me like, aha, cool. Yeah, he's not like a pushover or whatever, right? There's all these little funny little corners of, social dynamics, and so I guess being cool seems to be like, being able to have social skills and, know how to kind of be with other people. But the downside of that, I guess, of the cool kids, the popular crowd, the jocks or whatever in the movies, is maybe conformity and just kind of fitting in. And whereas maybe the nerds or whatever, or the freaks or whatever, they would be more doing their own thing. But are they able to meet all kinds of people and kind of get on? And maybe they take themselves too seriously. So they're like, oh no, I couldn't, be with those people. They play sport. They're stupid. I'm smart, So I don't know. There's different definitions of cool, but it seems like as a kid, it's an admiration thing. And I guess the difference is as you go into high school, or let's say adolescence, secondary school, whatever, as teenagers, you start to project an image more, and you start to kind of build up an ego, like a image of yourself in your head, the false self. And that becomes, and eventually you're going to outgrow that if you become spiritually mature, a spiritual adult, then you'll let the false self die, and all that. But you do need, it's a stage, you need to build up that kind of self, be able to interact in the world. The training wheels before you can be, an awakened being or whatever, is you need to have that ego built up, that basic structure of, you know how to participate in society and socially. And so, yeah, we start projecting these images. Oh, like me, I was like, oh, I'm a punk. I've got my denim shorts and my studded belt and I listen to Blink and, oh, yeah, I know a little bit of The Clash and Sex Pistols and whatever, but don't ask me too many questions. Or whatever was your scene, we're projecting images, and we're kind of acting out these characters, and we start to believe we are the characters. And I guess it's healthy to test out a bunch of things, and then you kind of gravitate to those that make more sense to you. And then in time, you can kind of distill or extract the essence of those, and kind of use that to develop the guidelines of kind of who you are or who you want to be. And because you are who you are, but I think there's a genuine, legitimate, authenticity in being like, look, growing into certain things and being what kind of a personality do I want to create? And to a certain extent, we do create our personalities and habits, interests, ways of being, ways of doing things. And at first, it's conscious, and it's like learning an instrument. You have to do it slow, or learning anything, dancing, martial arts, whatever. You do it slow, and then you kind of get that fast, and then that's now automatic. And you learn all these little chunks, and then when you automatize them, or you automate them, I guess, then you can kind of string them together. And then even the stringing together, you could eventually make automated strings of things. But the point being, it starts off conscious and manual and details, and then in time it becomes second nature. And so I think part of our ways of being, especially as a teenager, you're kind of consciously going and figuring out what you want to be. And even when you're making changes as an adult, that's how it works. And so I think that's fine to use cool. Who are the cool people? It's like they're the people who you want to be like. And you can use them as a mirror or as a feedback loop. Like, how far off am I? Oh, well, that person did that. I wouldn't have done that in that situation. I would wish I was like that. Okay, cool. Now that's my goal to work towards. That's my ideal. And yeah, in time, like we kind of make it more abstract, I guess. And you don't need specific people. You have, you just have certain kind of ideas, and maybe you could even distill it down to principles and specific things, not necessarily embodied in people, but in the beginning, it's useful to see it in people, and maybe you can't put your finger on what it is that you like exactly. And maybe certain people embody some good things, but some bad things, and so you can take your pick and mix and choose. But yeah, and so then you embody them, and then maybe you outgrow things, you let it go, keep changing. And so the point is, that's being cool, right? You want to be, but then I think an unhealthy way, which comes up there, is, yeah, you're trying to impress people. You're not trying to explore your own selfhood, and you're not trying to learn how to play the game and dance and have fun with others. Dance, like figuratively, if that's not clear. But actually, you just want to be accepted. And now I think it's important to be able to be relatively acceptable and to be able to kind of be socially capable. But it's very important to maintain your authenticity. And I think, naturally you're probably going to lose a bit of your integrity here and there as a teenager. But you want to, as much as possible, I think, guide your kids or guide yourself if you're a teenager and you're listening. Or if you, whatever, just thinking about this, that I think at that stage you want to do your best to maintain authenticity and not fall into the trap of trying to impress someone else. Because ultimately it doesn't matter. It's good to be able to have social skills so you can, work well, and you can you meet people that you like, and be the kind of person that they want to hang out with, and so long, it's possible. There's people who could really get along with others, but they're lacking the social skills to kind of bridge those gaps, or they get really nervous the first time they meet people. And so there's all these people who would love them, but they don't become friends with them because it's just too weird, or they don't make take the opportunities. So I think having those basic skills is really important for everyone to have a great world where friendships are made. And then also in the workplace, things can be productive and smooth, and, not avoid unnecessary conflict, all kinds of things, just basic human skills, being able to be respectful in society with others and engage, see someone who's in trouble and be able to talk to them. People who are aggressive, be able to talk to them, kind of chill them out without, getting too like, oh my God, just let them shout at that old lady because I was too awkward. I couldn't get involved. But if you've got social skills, you can kind of diffuse that. Yeah. So, but then you don't want to go so far that you're selling your soul to be accepted. And and which leads to, I guess, at a certain point, I kind of, was like, okay, this whole being cool thing, this is so stupid. Like, yeah, I should just be who I am and be, authentic, be myself, and explore and express myself, like learn, passive kind of, and then express myself, like active, like, create, let it out, creativity, let it in the world, kind of like consciousness or awareness, the perception, the experience of yourself, and then expression, like the acting or the creativity or the, letting that out, letting it flow, embodying it. But then, yeah, eventually I think I kind of came to the, at a certain point I had like the dark years of like lack of self-belief, and self-esteem. Not a huge fan of that word, but I think, you need to be honest with yourself. But yeah, someone said true humility, true self-esteem is humility. They're one and the same. Wrap your mind around that. But yes, so I think eventually I came to see that, like, actually you need to be a fan of yourself. You need to like yourself. You need to argue for yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, then who will? Why should anyone else believe in you? And so I think being cool is like being cool in your own eyes. That's the ultimate thing. It's basically authenticity. So being cool, and what is that like? Oh, you're not warm. What is that phrase? And like, I think in other languages, I know at least one language, it's the same thing. It's cool. Use the English word. So it's an interesting concept. Back in the day, maybe it was like admirable or worthy or virtuous. But in our age, we have this word cool, and it seems similar to those concepts, but a bit different too. It's kind of got this connotation of like, yeah, social idolatry or adoration or whatever, or social power, but prestige. But yeah, but I think what cool really should be, the healthy way to approach it is being like, okay, I'm not going to shun this. Like, this is a tool you can use if you want. You don't need to, right? But what I would suggest is like, and the way I kind of sometimes approach it, sometimes, I'm like, oh yeah, let's reflect upon that idea for a while or embody that for a while, I shuffle my deck and use different things or whatever, but experience an idea and then express it kind of, but is, okay, what kind of myself do I really enjoy? I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. This part of myself, like when I do that. And it's not about comparing yourself with others or trying to make other people like you. It's just about enjoying yourself, a kind of self-celebration. And so being cool is maybe there's certain clothes even where you feel dorky, you don't feel good. All right, don't wear them. You know, like get yourself some clothes that make you feel good, and then that subconscious thing, these, of like, oh, do I fit in? That's one less thing to deal with. Now, ultimately, ideally, you would just deal with that anyway, so you're not worrying about what people think. But realistically, we're all, go in waves, and you might be susceptible to that. So in general, I think, why not have some clothes that you feel good in or whatever. But then, ideally, yeah, you could be in like clothes which you just hate, and you can still rock it and just feel cool. And so I think to that end, sometimes doing things which intentionally people would judge you for, and then just kind of enjoying that and kind of enjoying the kind of with a manic glint in your eye, so to speak, of like, just, yeah, cool. I'm free of other people's approval. And that's one of the real coolest things is when you are free, you're not dependent, you're not emotionally needy, you're not dependent on other people's approval. People love that. Like, oh, wow, what a relief. You're not asking anything from me. You're not after anything. And so I think that kind of emotional independence and self-sufficiency is really cool. Cool. And so that's a good thing. And then also kind of but that's kind of the part of that authenticity, just being yourself. You don't need a mirror to go, who's the fairest of them all, You can just be like, there's no one in the world I would rather be than myself. And I think that's true for everyone. If you dig deep enough, you can find a place where you will feel, and I invite you to do this. And if you don't find it at first, keep digging, There is a place inside you, a beautiful place, where you can see, oh, there are many cool people who I would love to be, and like just be in their shoes for a day or whatever, or a lifetime, But me, I am absolutely unique. And, what a journey it is to be me. And in fact, there's no one in the world I would rather be than my own self. And so if you haven't found that place yet, keep looking, And when you find it, then you can share yourself with the world, and uplift other people. They go, oh, that's really cool. I like that. And we can inspire each other. But yeah, like fashion is all like a warped, cool thing. I think it's like people trying to, basically get off on, how they look in other people's eyes. But to paraphrase Epictetus, who said, if you would be wise in your own eyes. Something like that, So if you want to be cool in your own eyes, it doesn't matter what other people think. However, there's a balance to that, or a qualification, which is sometimes other people have good points and they know, hey, you're out of kilter there. You're drinking too much, or you're working too much, or you're swearing around these little kids. Hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe there's something to the purity and innocence of let him have that more gentle vibration, and maybe you should control yourself there. Maybe it's not actually that cool. And then maybe people go, interesting. And so that kind of feedback, paying attention to other people's body language and verbal language and their actions. Oh, they don't want to come to my party. Oh, why not? Or whatever it is. That social feedback is very important for us. I think it's like outsourcing the computational power of how to be wisely in the universe. And so in groups, we can solve, collective problem solving. I think we can kind of grow a lot more if we pay attention to each other. But it needs to be like, okay, this is your point of view, whether you've told me or I'm just inferring it, and run it through the filter of your own soul and go, does that make sense to me? And at the end of the day, it should never be, okay, I'm changing or I'm doing this because someone else thinks it's a good idea. It should always be because I think it's a good idea. Whether or not I got the inspiration or directly lifted the idea from them, at the end of the day, if you want to be cool, it should be like your idea. And it's just that you like it, it makes sense to you. So I think, yeah, that authenticity, being yourself and just enjoying yourself, your self-experience, self-expression, the not needing approval, um, and yeah, just being admirable, like doing things which, and which are good, doing good things, trying to work on yourself, and again, not so other people like you, although that is going to be a side effect, which you could get lost in, and then you'll have to pull yourself out of it and go, back, eye on the prize, don't get distracted, is, help be useful to those around you in whatever way you can. And, you know, I think, yeah, just be a balanced, healthy human. And then I think, as Wim Hof would say, it's all about love. And he very interestingly breaks that down into being happy, healthy, and happy, healthy, and strong. Which is like, I think confidence is kind of like mental strength there. I think that's kind of, but he says happy, healthy, and strong. And I think he means like, kind of strong physically and psychologically. And saying that we all have the ability to do this. Check out the Wim Hof method if you're not aware. That'll make you cool. Ice cold. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's being cool. And sometimes, you might be, having a bit of a bad day, or someone else is having a bad day, and then that rubs off on you, or whatever it is. And I think being able to kind of tune into a feeling of like, yeah, this is the me that I like, this is the life that I like, and kind of enjoying it, like, yeah, you're the main character of this amazing story. That can be an antidote to the weariness of the world, And so you might think, oh, it's stupid or it's self-indulgent, you don't need that. Yeah, maybe sometimes. But I think sometimes, yeah, kind of being able to just embody that vibe of like, yeah, cool, and be your best self. That can be kind of the training wheels, or you could say just a kind of manual setting of the pattern, which in time, becomes automatic. But I think, yeah, at times we need to have that manual override and come in, and maybe this is one tool to kind of bring ourselves into a better pattern. Yeah, and if you're around people, especially if you have, like, I've had social anxiety in the past, or like problems trying to just be relaxed around people, and I think when you can kind of be cool, there's a certain element of fake it to make it, where it's actually can be appropriate. You could take that in a bad way, of course, and kind of just be annoying and inauthentic. And who wants to be around you? You want a relationship with a real person. You don't want to be like, oh, this is my friend, the mask, But there's a certain element where it could get you out of your head, out of that falsity, and into just, don't overthink it. Just be you. You're you. I'm me. That's it. Here we are. Let's get into it. Let's enjoy. And yeah, it can kind of get your feet on the ground, just to be like, I deserve this space. I own this space. Everyone else is just the same as me. They're enjoying their version of cool. I'm enjoying my version of cool. And it's cool to be cool together. And you could change the words to other things, but that's just one angle on it. And I think it's a rather powerful angle, because it seems like our culture is rather drawn to magpie-esque, the chrome sweetness of coolness or fame, or I don't know, I guess maybe image. But anyway, so they're my thoughts on being cool. I hope it was a cool experience for you. Is there anything else to add here? Yeah, I'd say, of course, also we all have flaws, and that's fine too. You don't need to be perfect or anything, but and it would be boring if we were all perfect. So we learn, it's the drama of life and the drama of the self. Like there's all these opposites and contrasts, and it all balances itself out, and we learn. A painting without contrast is a blank canvas. You need the shades of gray, black and white, shades of color. Brings the depth and the light into it. So let's see. I feel like there's one more thing. Cool. Yeah, I guess ultimately I'd just say maybe, I mentioned it's authenticity, But I think, yeah, ultimately the idea of cool is just leading you, yeah, out of all concepts and into just being yourself, who you are, exactly as you are. That can be good and bad at times, according to the subjective judgment of your mind, or even your soul. But it is what it is, and just be it. And the more you can just be yourself, ultimately that is the coolest thing there is. And so someone who is just, this is who I am, take it or leave it, and who will accept others and say, yeah, cool, they'll be honest. I don't like that thing about that you did or you said. But that they won't judge people. They'll go, yeah, they'll understand that we're all flawed and we're all different, and some stuff is blurry or some stuff is subjective and cultural or whatever. So you give people that space to be who they are, and you also rightly claim the space for yourself just to be who you are. I think that's what it is at the end of the day. Just be who you are, you know, live. It's cool to be alive. All right. All hail the yellow scarf. See you next time.